Okay, grade 12. So this is just a continuation of question one of the June 2025 paper that was set by the Free State Department. And it was specifically paper two then. So we are continuing this specific question. It was a question that counted a total of 50 marks. So the bank reconciliation was the first portion of this question. And now we are going to have a look at 1.2, which is the creditors reconciliation. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the information. So they say Willie Stores purchased goods on credit from Parijs traders. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand who we are in this case and who we are purchasing from. Okay, so we are Willie Stores, guys. So let's highlight that. We are Willie Stores. So this is the company that we'll be doing the accounting for Willie Stores. And Willie Stores purchases goods on credit, right? On credit from Parijs traders, guys. So that then means that Parijs traders is Willie Stores' creditor. Okay. So Parijs traders is the supplier to or supplies to Willie Stores. Okay, perfect. So we have to understand over here that Parijs traders is a creditor to Willie Stores. And then since Willie Stores purchases on credit from Parijs traders, Willie Stores is going to be a debtor to Parijs traders. Okay, perfect. So they are the exact opposite within one another's books. Required 1.2.1. Why is it necessary to prepare a creditor's reconciliation statement? State 2 points. Okay, so this is, you don't have to read this together with any other information as I advised you to do within the bank reconciliation. Why? Because this is just purely theory. So you can quickly answer this, get your 2 marks, and move on to the next question. Okay, so why is it necessary to prepare a creditor's reconciliation statement? This is theory, guys. Why do we prepare a creditor's reconciliation statement? And for you to be able to answer these theory questions, you have to understand. This is once again, we test your understanding of why we set up a creditor's reconciliation statement. It's part of internal control, guys. It's an internal control measure, and it is basically there for 3 basic things, right? It's to compare what is a reconciliation, right? So Willie, at the end of each month, will compare our creditors ledger to Parijs's debtors ledger for these specific companies. Okay, so we will receive a statement from Parijs, and then we will then use that information to compare our transactions with Parijs versus what they have as transactions between us, and that should reconcile. Okay, so that is the basics of a creditor's reconciliation. Okay, so why is it necessary, guys? Why do we do this reconciliation? So it's to ensure that there are no errors or omissions within either our books or in Parijs's books with regards to one another. Do you understand that? So if our books at the end of the month should be the same, right? So if our balances, if the statement that we receive from Parijs is not the same as what we have in our debtors ledger, then we have to follow up on those differences and discrepancies. Okay, so that is the reason why there is a creditors reconciliation statement. It's basically to compare these 2 accounts, documents, and then to see whether there are any omissions or errors. So, guys, we are human. We can make errors. So that is the first thing. Okay, so you will see in the answer as well. When we go over here, You will see in the answer as well. Errors and omissions can be detected and corrected. Okay, guys, that's very important. The errors and omissions. Okay, but what about them? When we compare this, we can pick them up. We call that detect. So we can detect that there are errors or omissions. And then also we can communicate with one another with source documents, right? Because we should have source documents for every single transaction. So we can share our source documents and bank statements and whatever to prove certain scenarios or that transactions occurred or did not occur. So errors and omissions can be detected, but then what do we have to do once we detect an error or an omission? We have to correct it. So this is very important. Errors and omissions can be detected and corrected. Okay, we need to fix them. Perfect. So that's the first thing why we do a reconciliation statement between our books and our creditors' books. Okay. The second reason, guys, and lots of you write this in one, which will give you your 2 marks. It's for fraud as well. We can actually pick up fraud as well within this process of comparing. All right, especially when we compare source documents and we see that source documents don't exist from the other party involved, in this case, Parais traders. All right, so let's have a look quickly. Let's just, fraud can be detected and minimized as well. All right. Fraud can be detected and minimized. Guys, you can see that, let's say that Willie Stores has a purchaser's clerk or a creditor's clerk. Now, this clerk can actually order things from Parais traders, right? And then have these things delivered directly to that person's home. Okay. Um, and then that could be hidden from Willie stores. Those transactions, those source documents can actually those invoices that we receive and delivery slips that we receive from Parais, that person, that creditor's clerk can actually not record that, and that's a way that they can pick up that fraud is happening within this specific company. So that is how fraud can be detected and minimized. So first, errors and omissions detected and corrected. Fraud can be detected and minimized. Okay. And then the last one, guys, is the most basic reason is why it's very important to compare within our books what we owe Parais is because we have to pay Parais the amount owed to them, the amount payable. So we want to pay the correct amount, right? That's very important for business that we do things correctly, especially when it comes to the outflow of money. We have to definitely be sure before we just make payments. So we have to make sure that the amount that we are paying Parais is also correct. So that is why we want to reconcile our books. All right, and that's the last answer over here is the correct payment can be made to creditors. Okay, we don't want to be paying more than we need to or less, and then later get into some legal trouble. Okay, guys, so those are the basic answers to get your 2 marks over here. Guys, they say, why is it necessary? And then state 2 points. Okay, so you would have gotten 1 mark for either one of, either 2 of these 3 points over here. Nice and easy. Okay, then we move on to 1.2.2, which is where the actual accounting is going to start. They say use the table in the answer book, which is over here, 1.2.2, to indicate how the relevant balances will change when preparing the creditors' reconciliation. Okay, once again, here we have the balances that they are talking about. There is the balance, the creditors ledger of Willie Stores. Guys, this is Willie Stores. We are Willie Stores, and we are purchasing from Parais Traders. So this is within our books, right? The creditors ledger of Willie Stores. This is within our books, and then this is their books, statement of account received from Parais. Okay, so this is our books. The left-hand column is in our books, where we have to fix errors and omissions that we made, and this is their books, where we have to fix errors and omissions that they made. Okay, indicate the figures as well as a plus for an increase and a minus for a decrease. Very important. Okay, so let's get to this. So within the information over here, the following balances were provided. The creditors ledger of Willie Stores on 30 April 2025, 85818. Okay, so just make sure always in your test that these balances agree and that they actually appear. Otherwise, you have to go and write these balances in yourself, and then you'll earn some marks for them. And then the statement received from Parais Traders on 25 April 2025, there it is, right? The 105650. Okay, so that information is information already on our answer sheet. Then they say the following errors and omissions were discovered during an investigation, guys. So when comparing the statement that we receive from Parais and our creditors ledger of detailed transactions with Parais, we found the following discrepancies, and we have to go and correct. Can you see errors and omissions? It has to be corrected. So that is what we are going to do now. We are going to reconcile our two accounts. Okay, reconcile our books basically. So information number A payment by Willie Stores, that is us, right? So we made a payment of 7,250 was omitted from the creditor's ledger and the statement. Okay, so a payment, guys, what does a payment do to an amount owed? It reduces the amount that we are owing to Parais, right? So that is why we have to go and subtract. Was omitted. Look here. Okay, so a payment, what does a payment do? Okay, a payment means that we owe Parais less, right? Because we paid 7,250. It was omitted. That means it wasn't recorded, right? But where it wasn't recorded from the creditor's ledger, so in our book. So we have to go and say, listen, a payment was made, right? And we did not record it in our creditor's ledger. What does a payment do to this balance? It will reduce the balance. So you will put your negative, and then you will say 7,250. Okay. You guys understand that? So there's your negative 7,250. But then when we read, it was also omitted from the statement. So from the statement of account, so both of us omitted the 7,250 Rand payment that we made. So we also have to go ahead and we have to reduce our amount owing within their books as well. So it would be negative 7,250 Rand. Okay, guys, you can also put it in brackets or you can write the negative in front. Okay, it doesn't matter. So there we have number A sorted. Easy, right? Okay, then we move to information number B. An invoice for goods. Remember, an invoice, right? An invoice is what we receive from Parais Traders for purchasing goods, right? An invoice for goods bought for 39,700 was reflected on the statement from Parais Traders, but was not recorded by Willie Stores. Guys, so who made the mistake? Look here. But was not recorded by Willie Stores. We are Willie Stores. So we didn't record. What didn't we record, guys? An invoice. You have to look at what was recorded wrongly specifically. A payment will reduce our account. An invoice means we purchased goods on credit from Parais and we did not record it in our books. So we owe them this 39,700 more because it wasn't recorded. This invoice wasn't recorded. So within our books, we have to go and say plus 39,700. So you can just type the 39,700, a positive amount. Okay, 39,700. Invoice means our account has to increase with the goods that we bought on credit. Okay, perfect. Then number C, an invoice for 43,400 Rand. Once again, an invoice, right? So this would increase our account, right? An invoice for 43,400 Rand received from Paris Traders was recorded correctly by Willie Stores. So we recorded this invoice correctly, exactly as it is. So we are not going to make any adjustment under for adjustment number C under the left-hand column in our books, right? It would be a mistake within Paris's books. Okay, the statement of account reflects it as 34,300. So Parais made a typo within the books. It should be 43,400, but they have it as 34,300, guys. Yes, we do have to get the difference, right? So go take your 43,400. Right, and then you go and subtract your 34,300 from that. You would get the difference is 9,100 Rand. Okay, so you have your difference as, or your, let's call it your adjustment amount of 9,100 Rand. Okay, so that is your adjustment amount. That is the difference. But now you have to decide, are we going to subtract this 9,100 Rand from the statement of account, or are we going to add it? Now, once again, invoice, okay? An invoice increases the amount owing, increases our account with Parais. Okay, but look, they increased our account only with 34.3, and they should have increased it with 9,100 Rand more. Okay, they should have increased it with more. So therefore, we have to increase our account with their account, their statement of account with 9,100 Rand. So it's an increase. It's a plus, guys. Okay, perfect. Then number D, Willie Stores, that is us, correctly recorded a discount. Discount, guys, that is the essence of the transaction. What does a discount do? You can actually do this. Payment minus invoice plus invoice plus. Okay, but it's not always the case. Obviously, over here, if it was the other way around, that this amount was more than that, then we had to bring that amount down back to what it should be, right? Okay, but Willie Stores correctly recorded a discount. Okay, discount is it reduces the account, right? Of 1,555 for early payment of their account. This has not been reflected. Okay, so this has not been reflected on the statement from Parais Traders. Okay, so we are correct once again, but Parais did not record a discount. It's a minus. So to fix it, we have to subtract 1,555 from the statement of account. So it's minus 1,555. Perfect. So there you have that as well for D. Then E, the statement reflects interest of the statement, right, guys? The statement is not our books. The statement is the books of Parais. The statement reflects interest of 995 Rand on the overdue account, okay? Okay, on the overdue account. That means that according to that first sentence, Parais had charged us with interest on the money that we are owing them because we are not adhering to credit terms. Okay, that's how it seems. Now let's read further. Parijs traders acknowledged that an error had been made and promised to reverse the entry in the May 2025 statement. Okay, so we are busy with April over here, right? Okay, so this will only be fixed within May, so we definitely have to include it into our creditors reconciliation over here. Um, so they charged us with interest, guys, on our overdue account. That means that they increased our account with 995 rand. Okay, but they tell us that it was an error. So they shouldn't have increased our account with 995 Rand. So we have to just go and subtract 900. So to fix the error, we have to go and subtract 995 Rand from the statement of account because it was their error. So we have to go ahead to make the effect zero, we have to go and subtract 995 from the statement of accounts. Okay, then we get to F. Okay, so a debit note for 5,432 Rand. Okay, issued to Donkey Stores, guys, we don't even know who Donkey Stores is, was incorrectly recorded in the account of Parijs Traders by Willie Stores. Okay. So a debit note, guys, a debit note for 5,432 issued to Donkey Stores, okay, which is not even we are only working with Parijs Traders and with us, right? Was incorrectly recorded in the account of Parijs Traders by Willie Stores. Okay. So Willie Stores reduced their account within Willie Stores. They made the mistake. So we know that over here at number F, this is where the mistake is going to be, right? Okay, that's where the adjustment is going to be because Willie Stores made this mistake. So a debit note, guys, just means that goods were sent back to the supplier. So a debit note means that accounts has to be reduced. Okay, so that's basically what that means. That's when we send things back to suppliers. Okay, perfect. A debit note, all right. So we know that that Willie Stores, which is us, we subtracted, okay, 5,432 Rand from the account of Parijs Traders. We shouldn't have done that because it should have been deducted from another creditor, which is called Donkey Stores. Okay, so that was the mistake. It shouldn't have been deducted in our books against Parijs. It should have been deducted in our books against Donkey Stores. So to fix this, we just have to, we incorrectly subtracted, because that's what debit note says. Now we incorrectly subtracted, and now we have to go and fix that by adding it back. Okay, so we have to go and plus 5,432. 5,432 is what we have to go add back into our books. Okay, and then number G, a credit note for 4,900 Rand received from Parijs Traders for goods returned was incorrectly recorded as an invoice by Willie Stores. Okay, so once again, guys, debit note, credit note, don't worry too much about it. It just means that goods was sent back to the supplier. Okay, the debit note, credit note portion is just we from both ends, we have to issue um, a specific note um, telling the other party what we had done in our books. Okay, perfect. So a credit note, once again, goods was sent back. So minus, right? Also minus. It's goods was sent back. A credit note for 4,900 received from Paris traders. So there we go. From Paris traders. So we sent goods back to the value of 4,900 to Paris. Paris issued us a credit note um, of 4,900 Rand. Okay, which says that they credited our account with 4,900 Rand, which means reduced our account because we are a debtor in their books. So to credit our account in their books would mean to reduce it. Okay, so a credit note for 4,900 received for goods returned was incorrectly, guys. So incorrectly recorded as an invoice by Willie Stores. Goodness, we keep making mistakes. Okay, so we should have deducted, right? Can you see? We should have deducted this 4,900. But what did we do as a mistake? What does an invoice do to an account? It increases the account. So we increased the account by 4,900 where we should have decreased the account. So when the signs are opposite like this, guys, you are going to have to make a double entry to fix the mistake. Okay, can you see? So it's we increased the account, we should have decreased. So we first have to subtract 4,900 to get rid of the plus, right? And then we are at 0, right? And then we have to subtract the actual 4,900 Rand as per the credit note. So this will be a double entry over here to fix this mistake. So it's minus 9,800. We have to subtract 4,900 two times. Okay, so over here, we are going to say minus 9,800. How do we get that, guys? That is just within brackets. We are going to subtract 4,900. Okay, so it's minus 4,900 for fixing, sorry, guys, let me just fix this over here. It should be on this side. We made the mistake, right? So it's minus 9,800. But how do we get to that amount? It's minus 4,900 to fix our mistake because we added it. So we fix it by first subtracting the 4,900 to fix our mistake that we made because we went in the wrong direction. And then we have to actually go and subtract it from our account to have the effect of the minus 4,900. So this first minus 4,900 is to fix our mistake, okay, to get the effect back to 0. And then the second minus 4,900 is to actually go and reduce our account with the 4,900 Rand, guys. So just remember, so when it should have been a minus and you handled it as a plus, that is then where it will be a double entry. So just make sure that you see it as that. And then at number H, goods purchased from Paris traders on 30 April 2025 for 8,950 were recorded by Willie Stores. So goods purchased, right, from Paris on 30 April. So we purchased goods from them on credit, okay, for this amount. Was recorded by us. The statement was closed off on the 25th of April. We can actually see it over here as well. The statement received, when did we receive this statement? On the 25th. So obviously, this transaction on the 30th of April would not be on the statement received from Paris. So we have to add, this is an invoice. That they don't say invoice, but goods purchased, guys. When we purchase goods on credit, that's an invoice will be the source document, and an invoice will then increase the account. So we did not make the mistake. Parais Traders account just was closed off on the 25th of April. So we just have to add this extra transaction that occurred within April, but after the date that they had closed off their statement. So we have to go and add this 8950 to the account to the statement of accounts. So it's 8950 positive. All right, guys. So now remember, you can, all of the negative amounts, you can put either in brackets or you just put the minus in front of them. All right, guys, now we have to balance because we fixed all of the errors. So now what you have to do is over here, you have to count. Remember to include your balance first, minus this, plus this, minus this, and then you would get your answer. So let's quickly add all of this together. Remember to include your balance. Okay, and then you get 113,900 Rand after fixing the errors in our books. Now, this should be the exact same amount after fixing the errors in the statement of account as well. So let's have a look when we add up everything over here as well. We get the exact same amount, 113,900, 113,900 in both instances. Okay, so that is how we reconcile our books to get to the exact same answer. Okay, perfect. Now, that was the creditors reconciliation. Let's move on to the debtors aid, which is only 7 marks. All right. The name of the company is Lahen Hardware Store. The information below relates to Lahen Hardware Store. Required 1.3.1. Calculate the percentage of debtors who do not comply with the credit terms for 3 marks. Okay, so let's just get a different color for this question. Okay, so calculate the percentage of debtors, guys. So your answer should be a percentage, okay, but of debtors who do not comply with the specific credit terms. Okay, so let's have a look. Percentage of debtors who do not comply. That's what we are going to be looking for, right? So let's have a look over here at our debtors age analysis. Debtors age analysis on 30 April 2025. We have 5 debtors, okay, 5 customers that purchased on credit that still have amounts owing. Each one of their credit limits are stated over here. This is the credit limit, guys. This is not an actual purchase. This is just within our creditors or in our credit agreement. We said Z Chick or Chick, you are not allowed to purchase beyond 11,000 Rand. M. Mokuena, you are not allowed to purchase beyond 4,800 Rand. Do you guys understand? That's the credit limit. Okay. Then over here, the outstanding balance. So this column over here is the total outstanding balance per debtor. So Z Chick owes me 15,000 Rand in total. M. Mokuena owes me 7,000 Rand in total. So this outstanding balance column is all of these over here added together. Do you understand that? All right. Can you see it says 100% of the amount owing will be in your outstanding balance column. And then we have to split this 15,000, right, into what is the transactions for the current month. Guys, what is the current month? Please do this for yourselves if you struggle seeing this. The current month, insert, let's just insert and see. No, not pictures. Let's insert a text box over here. So the current month, guys, what is the current month? The current month is April, right? This is the debtors age analysis on 30 April. So the current month is what? It's April. Do you guys agree with me, right? So can you see that Z Chick purchased 5,600 Rand on credit during the current month, during April? Okay. Then we have 30 days, right? A month, 1 month um, after the credit purchased is 30 days. So this would then be 30 days back. Please don't go April, May, June, July. We are now in April, so we have to work backwards with the debtor's age analysis. It's age. We are working in the past. Okay, so we have to go back in time over here. Okay, so these transactions occurred last month. They did not occur in April. They occurred the month before April. Okay, and that would then be what? That would then be March, right? Okay, so that would then be March. So the 30-day column would then be March. Okay, let's just keep it as that. That would then be March. Okay. And then the 60 days would be 2 months prior to April. And that would then be Feb. Okay, so let's just write over here. I think you guys are getting the hang of it over here. So Feb, right? And then 3 months before April, and then that would then be January. Okay, so this is a tip for you guys to always go and write your actual months over here. Sorry, not Feb, this would be January. So can you see, we go back in time, guys, when we work with an age analysis. The current month is April, and we are going back in time. All right, so let's read what the credit terms are that Lahen Hardware Store gives to their customer. So customers, debtors age analysis on 30 April, we can see that. And then debtors are given 30 days, guys. This is the credit terms. Debtors are given how many days? 30 days. What is 30 days? 30 days is 1 month. Okay, so they are given 1 month after statement date, to settle their accounts. Okay, 30 days after statement date. Now, please remember that when you purchase on credit, the number of days they aren't being counted from the day that you purchased on credit. So let's say they purchased on credit over here within April. Okay, Z-Chick will only get the statement at the end of April. Okay. He or she won't get the statement immediately on the day of the transaction. Do you guys understand that? So at the end of the month of the transaction date, within that month, the statement will be issued. All right, so this is the current month, right? Okay, so this 20,200 Rand is not outstanding, guys. So this 20,200 is still within the credit terms. And then also we give them 30 days, guys. So basically this is still fine. The current month is within our credit terms. And then also 30 days is also within our credit terms. So this is within our credit terms, and that is within our credit terms. So what falls outside of the credit terms, guys, is the 60 days and the 90 days. Okay, so all you need to do now that we have identified what falls outside of our credit terms, you can go and add up these total amounts owing of all of your debtors, and then you put this amount over your total outstanding balance of your debtors, and then you will get your percentage of debtors who do not comply with the credit terms. Let me just check over here. This should actually state the whole question. There we go. Okay, perfect. So what is our workings, guys? Remember, current month is not outstanding. 30 days, according to this information, is not outstanding. That is still within our credit terms. So the 60 and the 90 is outside our credit terms. Okay. So therefore, you add up these two amounts. So in your answer, you are going to say, listen, I'm going to say 3,300, 3,300 plus the 11,500 for 90 days. That's going to give you 14,800 when you add those two together. Okay, so it's going to be 14,800 when you add these two amounts together. Okay, so when you add these two amounts together, right, because that is not complying to credit terms. So when you add those two amounts together, you would get the 14,800 Rand. Okay, and then what do? You need to put this as a percentage, right? So you put your answer over your total outstanding balance, guys, over your total. So 14,800 over the total amount owing of 40,000 Rand. Okay, that is then going to be your percentage. So it's going to be 14,800. Okay, that's for divide 14,800 divided by 40,000. Okay, 14,800 divided by 40,000 and then multiplied with 100. Okay, so that is how you get your answer. So quickly take 14,800 and then you divide it by 40,000. Okay, and then you multiply it with 100. Okay, and then you will get 37%. So your answer is then 37%. So 37%, sorry, 37% of my debtors are outstanding and they do not, not outstanding because 30 days is outstanding. It's just 30 days is still within the credit terms. So 37% of my debtors do not comply with the credit terms because they fall outside of the 30 days. Another way that you can see this is that you can say, listen, the current month is April. Okay, that's why we did the months. Current month is April, so that's still fine. Okay, 30 days means 1 month. Okay, so March is also still fine because that is 1 month um, after the transaction or after this statement date. So that and that is fine. So February and January are the two problem months. So you add these two together, divided by your total outstanding balance, and you get your 37%. Okay, now explain two different problems revealed by the debtor's age analysis. So that's the thing. Okay, I know there are 3 blocks, but you only need to do 2. I just put it, place 3 over here for extra information. Okay, so explain 2 different problems revealed by the debtor's age. Now, when we look at the debtor's age analysis over here, when we look at the credit limit, okay, always when they ask a question like this with the debtor's age, you have to look at the credit limit and you have to look at your credit terms, okay, or your credit term and your credit limit. So here we have our credit limit. Can you see that Z check is owing 15,000, which is more than the credit limit. The same with Mokoena. His outstanding balance is more than the limit. Mpo, outstanding balance is more than the limit, and the same for Comfort, it's also more. So the only four out of 5 debtors are owing more than their credit limit, and that is a massive problem, guys. Okay, so the problem that you have to list over here. So the first problem, you can just go and say credit limit. Okay, you can go say the credit limit is a problem. Okay, sorry, that's the credit term. Credit limit is over here. So credit limit is a problem, right? Here at number 2, credit limit. That is the problem. And then obviously the credit term is also a problem. Why? Because debtors, 1, 2, 3, three debtors are actually paying, are taking longer than 30 days after statement date to settle their debts. Okay. So those are the things that you check for when you have a look at issues with your age analysis. Credit term, which means the 60 and the 90 days, and the credit limit, which means the maximum amount that they should be allowed to purchase on credit. Okay, so there you have 2 out of 4 already, right? And then provide relevant evidence to support your answer. Guys, now over here, um, there are various ways to answer this. You could have used percentages over here. You could have referred to the 37% to answer your credit term over here. You could have, with your credit limit as well, you could have added the 4 debtors together that are beyond the credit limit, um, or actually the the difference between the credit limit and their outstanding balances. You also could have mentioned over here, and you could have put that over your total outstanding to show how much of the total outstanding is above the credit limit. Guys, so many ways to answer this, right? But they want the evidence, and you can just go and say over here, you can just go and mention the names. You can say, okay, Z Chick, 90 days outstanding. B Mpo, 60 days outstanding. K Comfer, 90 days outstanding. Okay, so that is what you can do for your credit term. Okay, let's go and do that. So for your credit term, can you see? You mentioned your 3 debtors and the number of days that they are outstanding. Okay, you don't actually have to provide these amounts because it's the credit term. So it's just the number of days outstanding. Okay, and then with your credit limit, guys, we said 1, 2, 3, 4 of the debtors are actually over the credit limit. So that's what you can do as well. So you go and say Z Chick is 4,000 Rand over the credit limit. And you just go and state every one of the 4 debtors that are over their credit limits, and then with how much they are, each respectively over their credit limits. Okay, so that's another way that you can answer this. And then you also could have thought of the problem is then a lack of internal control, guys. If we don't manage our debtors properly in terms of adherence to credit term and credit limit, then we have a lack of internal control because we are not stopping non-complying debtors from buying, and we have slow payers as well. Okay, so our collection, our follow-up, okay, procedures are also not in place. Okay, so because of these 2 problems, we have a lack of internal control, and then our evidence is basically the same as what we have over here. All right, perfect, guys. So that was it for your age analysis.